It wasn't a true furlough. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to call the meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
These proceedings are being recorded for the sole purpose of constituting the accuracy of written minutes. Tapes are reused, eliminating recorded records of these proceedings.
All right. Are there any guests appearing before the prison board today? I see none. We'll just proceed with the official actions now. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes for the meeting held on September 16th, 2020.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition?
I have to abstain, I believe, because I wasn't here.
Correct. Okay, motion carries. Report of executive sessions.
There were
There
none.
were no executive sessions. And we'll move right to report of committees, and we'll begin with the maintenance report.
Okay, Sites Brothers was in for their monthly maintenance. K&D was in to repair the dishwasher. A&W Plumbing was in to snake a drain in the RHU. They were also in to scope and jet the sewer line for the staff locker rooms. Pump house rehab is completed now, and you know, everything seems to be working fine. Sills was in to repair a dryer in the main laundry and the washing machine in female. And along with that, there's two dryers in the main laundry, one of which is going to need some repairs to it. There's two ways we could go here. The repairs would roughly be, I think it was like $1,500 for repairs. However, we could get a refurbished machine for $2,800 that would have a 30-day warranty with it. So I would, look for recommendations from the board as to how to proceed.
Warden, what kind of a warranty would a new apparatus have?
We didn't get one on a new apparatus at all. And Rodney was waiting for some more prices from them, but they haven't come in, till we had the meeting today. So.
Any other further questions, options?
New unit would be how much? Do you have any idea?
The brand new unit, I don't know. This refurbished one is $2,800 with a 30-day warranty. And we haven't gotten the prices yet on a brand new unit, but I'm thinking we'll probably double that or maybe a little more. I think they're like pretty close, somewhere between 5 and 7.
How old is the existing unit?
Roughly about 10 years old.
Is there any experience with these refurbished units, Warden?
I think every time we've ever gotten them, we've gotten brand new ones.
And so what is the status of the current unit?
Our current unit right now is inoperable. Either we get it, fixed with the parts and stuff that they could put in for, $1,500, or we go with, I can try to push them along to see if they can't get us a price on a brand new unit, if the board would rather look at that too before making a decision.
Yeah.
How many other units you have though?
We have one other dryer and plus 2 washing machines, so I mean, we just kind of put us down to one dryer, is operable at this point.
I would think that if we want to make an educated decision on this, I would think we would need a price on a new unit, and then we can go from there. Is that agreeable to the board?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, what I'll do is I'll get that, and then I don't know, should I email it out to the board instead of waiting a whole other month prior to?
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. Controller?
Good question. Do you know the age on the washing machines and the other dryer? Is it all about the same age?
We replaced, I think, the washing machine, at least one of the washing machines a few years ago. The one might only be maybe about 5, 6 years old or so, and the other ones are anywhere from 10 to 15.
Okay. All right, Warden, so if you would get some of that pricing and then advise the board of all the options on that correspondence, and then we can discuss it and get back to you on that.
All right. And then the last thing I have, Johnson Controls was in to troubleshoot a fire alarm that was in the work release block. It just seemed to be one that was, around the shower area and just had to deal with a lot of, the dampness and moisture and stuff in there, so they kind of just connected it for now.
Okay.
And that was all I had in the maintenance report.
Any questions on the maintenance report?
I do. The only thing that I have is like where we snaked that drain out.
Mhm.
Was anything ever done about that, those pins that were put in? Remember there were pins missing?
Mhm.
Where they have, and does Rodney actually know about that?
Oh, yeah, I
Okay,
know
I mean,
about it.
just so that them all got replaced, that we don't have a problem like we had before.
Right.
Okay.
All right, we'll now move on to the work release report.
Okay, Mr. Schubeck's numbers are in front of you. Currently, right now, we have 4 individuals that are going up for work release.
Any questions about Mr. Schubeck's report? Okay, I know we received some correspondence on the work release committee that there were some upgrades to some of the documentation and rules and regulations, and I know that that is still ongoing.
Right.
There were some comments made on that, and I think Mr. Schubeck is working on some of those revisions. Is that correct, Ward?
That's correct.
Okay. All
Sir,
right,
if I have a question.
yes.
So the in-place COVID protocol obviously seemed to be effective because people have been being able to stay safe, correct?
Yes.
With work release.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, so if there's no further questions on the work release report, we will move on to the warden's report.
Okay, as of this morning, we have 182 inmates in-house, 38 females, 144 males. So we've had a slight uptick in the last 3 months or so from when we made our initial look at all the individuals. And I think at our lowest, we were probably in around 150, 155. So there have been some upticks in individuals coming in. And yesterday, we actually sent 6 more to the State Department of Corrections. So we're at the point where it may take a little longer. I don't know, some of you may have seen in the news where Campbell is experiencing some issues with COVID-19. We actually had yesterday's date already set up before they put those in place, so they allowed us to continue to send those folks out yesterday. But moving forward, it may take a little longer to get individuals out there.
Any further discussion on the warden's report? Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to accept it.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Ayes have it, motion carries. We'll now break briefly for executive session. You ready to go, Warden?
Yep.
Okay, all right. We're resuming our regular session, and the next item on the list is the personnel report.
And just one change to the personnel report on accepting the resignation of Chad Molesky from his position of corrections officer effective October 6, 2020.
Motion to approve with correction.
All right.
Second. No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, motion carries. And we'll now move on to old and new business. Warden?
All right, the first thing I have under old business is fingerprinting fees and the update on that. I know last month it was kind of handed over to the solicitor to review.
The issue is, can we make it a priority? Can we collect it separately? I know the judge gave us some research that he had provided last time, and we had found an administrative order from Dauphin County we had just sent to the judge today, so I don't know if that helps you or sheds any light on it or confirms anything or not.
No, I mean, you're right, Danny, I mean, I got it, I looked at it, I didn't go beyond that. I wasn't sure, because I said, I had the statute that we had when we implemented the live scan fee, and I wasn't sure if that by itself gave priority to distribution. I didn't do any independent research or anything like that, so I didn't know. So I take it from what Dauphin County did, they thought they would need an administrative order rather than just independently rely upon that statute. I'm not sure exactly, what Danny sent me, I don't know if you guys got copies of it or not.
No, I didn't get it.
But basically, there's a regulation that exists under Pennsylvania Code Title 2004, and it talks about the priority of distribution of different types of fines, fees, costs, reparations, restitution, et cetera, penalties. It categorizes them, and then it gets to a number 5, and it talks about electronic fees, offender supervision fees, et cetera, and other similar fees. So I think that Dauphin County is saying this is another similar fee. And it says that those fees will be prorated unless they're prioritized by court order or the judicial district. And then it says that the Administrative Office of Pennsylvania Courts may preclude a fee from being classified as another similar fee. So it gets a little complicated, so I'm not sure, as I'm reading the regulations, and I just read it this morning when Danny sent it, it looks as though all these other things that come 1, 2, 3, and 4, they get prioritized first before you get to this number 5 category. And I'm not sure how much it gains you. I don't know if you're in conversation with Dauphin County, they said if it's they did it, but I don't know, does it really benefit them a lot, Danny? Do you know?
I don't know, we just, like in doing the background research, we came across this administrative order,
Right.
and that seemed, at least in the judge's mind, that this gave them that was to be collected first before the other fees that are collected on a prorated formula.
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that, but when you look at it, because that's number 5, you first have 1, 2, 3, and 4 before you even get to that number 5. So I thought the way the regulation reads is that doesn't affect the priority of those other 4 before you get to number 5. It's just prioritizing number 5 among the others under number 5. But I'm not sure of that, Danny. I really am not. And then there has to be a local rule established, because at least Dauphin County, they have it under the local rules, which means it has to go to the criminal, the Central Criminal Local Rule Commission, has to get approved by them, then it has to be published in the Pennsylvania Bulletin. We can do all that, I just don't know what it gets us. I was hoping the statute by itself would give us priority.
I don't think it really does that, at least it's certainly, as you can see from the discussion, it's certainly not clear that it does. That's for
No,
sure.
I'm not arguing the point, I don't know.
It seems, I know it probably seems like this is a very long and circuitous route on what should be a simple issue, but it just shows you how these things get bogged down in, regulations and court orders and administrative orders and things like that. So we could continue to look into it to try to get something,
Who, and I know this came from Heather Marcalis, I don't know who Heather Marcalis
she's
is.
one of our attorneys.
Oh, she's an attorney in your
Yeah,
office?
yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought maybe she was in contact with someone with Dauphin County and she would have known how much it actually benefited them. I'm not adverse to doing it
No, I know
administrative
that,
order
I
or
know that,
local.
I'm just trying to see how is it, from your standpoint, what's the best practical way, where do we want to get to? So,
You still have to use the CPCMS system even under this. I
Right.
mean, because then AOPC has to, I guess, recalibrate the CPMS system for Carbon County to give priority is the way I understand it. So, and I don't know, like I said, that there is that sentence there that says CPCMS may not approve this other fees, but apparently they did for Dauphin County, so I don't know why they would treat us differently than Dauphin County. I would hope they wouldn't, but.
So,
You know, our biggest priority here is not collecting money at the prison anymore, that's basically what we're looking at.
Well, this isn't really dealing with that, I don't think, Tim. This is dealing with whether or not what we collect, if it has to go through the whole system, be allocated among everything and piecemealed out, as compared to be given just direct payment coming in.
Yeah, we would get payment right away instead of waiting 6, 8 months or.
Yeah, because we have that incentive now, Rock, it's $50 if you pay, or $75 if you pay now, it's $100 if you pay later.
Right.
And it was, not obviously that encourages payment, but it was also hoping that payment could then be distributed immediately by the county and used rather than put into this pool and have to be prorated out. And I thought maybe that statute would do that. Again, I didn't do any individual research, and just by deduction, since Dauphin County did this, it seems to be saying they don't think that statute does it by itself. And that could be absolutely correct. I don't know.
So it's not gonna help us get our money any faster.
Right, so we really have two different issues here. And the first issue is the collection of funds at the prison for this specific purpose, correct, Warden? So we got off on a kind of a side tangent there on how these things should be done. And I think one of the things we waited for an answer for this was to help us make that decision.
Right.
So, Dan, what's your recommendation on how we proceed? So do we need to do more research
Bag
on,
or money, we can just put it in there.
do we need more research on how to proceed with this particular matter of the distribution before we make our decision on whether we should be collecting monies, or do you think we could proceed with that?
I think as the judge said, there's still two, and you said there's still two issues, one are they gonna collect money?
Right.
And the second issue is, okay, as to the fees collected by the courts, does the court think that by, apparently Dauphin County has, that by issuing the administrative order, and if it's approved by AOPC, that you can give the priority status to the booking fee and collect that separately through the courts.
Right.
But you still have the issue of them collecting money up there.
Right, but I think for some reason, and I don't recall exactly what the details were, we opted not to make the decision about the collection of fees until we got an answer to this other question. There was some hook in there,
'Cause I
and I
think-
don't recall what it is.
Because I think the answer was, is it gonna do you any good to
Okay.
collect it through the courts, or is it just gonna go in the pot with
Okay.
everything else?
Yeah, I think it was, Tony, that Tim thought it would be better to delete or eliminate the 75 versus 100 and just make it across the board 100.
Okay.
And I said, well, one of the reasons we did the 75 was to basically accelerate collections and increase payments. It was an incentive for people to pay. And I said, I thought that those payments were coming directly into the county to be utilizable as compared to be putting into this overall pool of all expenses, which then get prorated out. And again, it was only a rapid check. I thought that statute might have given us that authority, but again, it may not, okay? And that's when Danny was gonna research the issue about do we have to, and he did, I mean, and do we have to put it into this pool and it gets prorated out? And in the course of that research, they found what Dauphin County had done. So I mean, that was the one question, and again, I don't know how this actually works out in terms of numbers, because it seems as though you're fifth on priority, but you might be high priority among being fifth.
Right.
If you follow.
Right.
And that still may be a benefit, I don't know, I don't know how it works out now.
Yeah.
But then you still have the separate question that was Tim's primary concern, and that is
Right.
about them still collecting at the prison,
Right,
which is separate from this.
correct. So I guess my question is, go ahead.
And I think that incentive with the reduced fee from the last statistics, I think that Tim had shared with us, wasn't proving out.
Yeah, I think it was about 40 or
It
30%.
was a
whatever it
very
is.
Right.
much smaller percentage, I think, than we thought it was going to be.
So I guess we're at the question now is there anything preventing us from trying to make a decision on whether we should be collecting the monies at the prison or not?
No.
Okay. So, Warden, the alternative to collecting the monies at the prison is what?
Either having maybe individuals prepay it at the magistrate where the cases originated from, or eliminating one of the fees and just making, one fee to go into the court costs,
So does a decision have to be made about the $75 reduction and the $100?
Depending on how you want to go. If you want to afford them a discount and leave it at the $75, if they prepay at the magistrate's office, then we could leave the two figures.
Right.
If they choose not to, then, the $100 is assessed onto the court cost.
Okay, and what would need to be done for us to change our policy?
Well, I guess, right now, there's a local order that the judge actually,
Well, and that's showing the differentiation, the 75 and the $100, Tim.
Right,
I don't think it says where the collection
where
point
the
is.
collection is, okay.
I don't have it in front of me, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Maybe then it would just.
So just be adopting a policy that the prison is no longer going to accept these payments, and they have to be made either at the magistrate or at the clerk of the court? Is that the appropriate way to do that?
I would say so,
But as a
yes.
practical matter, that's going to be hard to mechanically work, because a lot of times when people come to the magistrates, they're not coming there expecting to make a $75 or a $100 payment. When they go to get the service done,
Right.
because they're given notice to the magistrate, you have to have this live scan fee done or whatever. Or I guess, or maybe actually when they get arrested, I guess they get it then too, don't they?
Correct, yeah.
So sometimes they do it right then and there, I guess, when they're arrested, I guess, but I don't know, Tim, I'm not there when it's done. But I guess other times at the magistrates, they tell them they have to go and get it done at the prison, and they tell them they have to bring their money with them to pay at that time. Whereas they're probably not anticipating, because they don't know beforehand to bring, and this might be a lot for some people, they don't carry $75 or $100 in their wallet.
The current order says each defendant shall be assessed a fee of $100 for live scan processing as required by statute unless the defendant prepays the live scan processing fee of $75.
But it doesn't give any indication on when that prepayment is needed
No.
by.
Well, then why don't you just send it all to collections and simply put a time frame on payment, right?
Right, because,
Can you
and
do
I
that?
think, yeah, and I think that, although it doesn't say it there, I
No.
think it was assumed that it would be paid before a particular hearing, is that correct,
Right.
Tim?
Yeah, before the preliminary hearing.
Okay,
Right.
So as long as they pay before the preliminary
hearing.
through collections.
Well, that's the issue there.
Where-
Prior to the preliminary hearing, it's still at the
Magistrate's office,
Right.
yeah.
So it would have to be done at the office.
$100, go to collections.
Yeah.
That's a simple way to do it. So, we have a lot of different legs to this spider. And I'm trying to determine the best way to proceed.
Well, I think the first thing we should determine is procedurally what's the most efficient and effective way to get the money out of your collection and where it should be going. That should be, I think, the decision that should be looked at first. And then we can determine whether, it would be appropriate for the court to issue any type of amendment to an administrative order depending on what procedure the board wants to recommend.
So is it something maybe I should reach out to all the MDJ offices and speak to them about this? Because obviously it's gonna be something that's gonna be put in their stats then.
It's different with every case. I'm starting to be inclined to indicate it might be better just to deal with it through the Bureau of Collections and have some order, because certain crimes, you don't have that fingerprint order that comes out with originally. Certain people are arraigned right at the time of the arrest, and then they get that fingerprint order if the judge sets bail. So certain things aren't done down there. People aren't always afforded that opportunity to come to the prison, and Judge, you're familiar with that, when you're sentencing, or you're up there taking a guilty plea, you're placing an order in whether they might not have even been fingerprinted at that point in time.
Yeah, that happens.
And so there's a uniformity to it. If you're given a discount, some people aren't even getting it, they really take advantage of it because they haven't seen the opportunity for it, because either the order didn't come out or maybe it was generated in some way overlooked. If we're trying to get the money there quicker, I understand that, but I think in terms of uniformity of getting it paid and getting it up front, you might be better off with that order. Then we're avoiding all these legs. Just make the order, make it down there, and it gets paid through there, and it's the first thing that, or it takes a higher priority, and then it gets kicked out immediately to the county.
Right. So,
The first payment
And I
is
think, there you go, that it may not get, may be a delay in getting the money, but you eliminate everything else.
Yeah.
You know,
It's not making or breaking us.
No.
The amounts aren't make, break, you know, we're not gonna.
so and whether the judge amends the administrative order, whether it's worthwhile to include the language, you know, that Dauphin County included, and then put it through the CPCMS, I guess we could see if, I don't think it'll.
And
But-
it gets
but that's-
away from Tim having to deal with cash up there. I mean, that's really not an ideal situation. He's a ward. They're not dealing with cash up there for those types of things.
so would this require just a recommendation that there be no discount, that there just be a $100 fee for live scan, and that it's payable to the clerk of court as part of the court costs? And that's the simplest matter that the commissioner recommended and that the DA did. Is there any utility anymore to the discount based on all the other parameters that we have to deal with to get that done? When we may not in fact benefit from the discount, correct?
I don't know if you do, Tony, I hate to say it, I don't know if you do or you don't, because I don't know how this works through what Dauphin County implemented. I don't know.
Right.
But
That-
would it hurt any, I mean, if we're gonna have to change the administrative order anyway to eliminate the discount,
Right.
would it hurt anything to consider a similar, or in language in the order, that it would be a priority payment?
Would we consider an increase in that amount? Because this has been at least 10 years since it was implemented, and
That's a good point.
it has not been an increase since.
It can go 200-300, correct?
And our costs have gone up quite a bit over the years.
Why 25?
I was gonna say,
Well, I think you need
I
to
was
find
gonna say
out,
150.
you need to find out what the going rate is
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
other counties and try to get it.
All right.
Do you have to put the rate in the court order?
I think you do, Mike.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not one that can be set by
That's
the,
why I bring it up now.
That's
That's
good.
good.
If we're
That's
doing a
good.
court order, now's the time. to
right
do it.
now's the time to change and get it all the way we wanna get it.
So it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what we're looking for is a proposal to consider. So we'll ask the warden to prepare a proposal to consider and for discussion at our next meeting, and have that proposal be a single fee of a certain amount that is generating the income we need to continue to do the live scan not at a loss. And something for us to consider on the proposal, and then if we have to adjust that proposal, we can. Is that palatable to everyone?
See what somebody other.
It's hard to say, Tony, really is, how this all works out.
Right.
Because if it worked the way I had hoped it worked, which is it was a set aside, that this was, a discrete fund, $75 or $100, then it was a direct benefit. If we make it a uniform fee and we make it part of the ordinary cost of collection, I don't know the percentages, but you have a significant percentage of defendants who don't pay a cent. Okay, I mean, that's why they get judgments recorded, but they're uncollectible. You see them recorded all the time, you don't get a cent from them. So then he has to balance, okay, well, if you get $100 or you get $50 or $75 up front, even though it's only 75 versus 100, are you still getting something more? Then it depends in part of how does it have to get prorated? I mean, there's, like you said, there's so many legs on this spider. I don't know how it trickles down eventually. I don't
Right,
know.
so again, and I'm just, this is my opinion only. You know, this has been under discussion for months, and it's so complicated that I think we need to kind of make a move on it. There's so many, the issue with does it benefit us, after all this study, we still don't know. So I think the time has come for us to consider a proposal and act on it. Again, and let's get the proposal out there, we'll have our discussion. If there's more information that any member can glean or adopt or study until our next meeting, then we'll be able to discuss that. But I think that, it's coming to the time now where we have to make a decision on this. So Warden, if you would make a proposal with that
I will do that.
for our next meeting. All right.
Next thing under old business, the fire pump service agreement. I had brought this to the board last month and was taking notice that Johnson Controls looked as if they were not going to do anything with the electric controller. They have since added language in there that it will be performed by a fire pump PMA subcontractor at the same price. So the quote is still $2,503 for that service, and everything is now involved the fire pump as well as the electric controller.
Okay. Any question on that?
I could do some type of motion on that then, Dan, to accept that or.
To recommend it, the
Recommend
board,
it
the
to
commissioners
the
will vote on it,
commissioners.
yes,
Okay.
recommend it.
So you're going to recommend
Well,
to proceed with
I would
it?
recommend to proceed, you know.
Okay, so we'd be looking for a motion
Right,
to
yes.
proceed?
I'll make a motion to proceed with the Johnson Controls fire pump service agreement.
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Is there any opposition? The motion carries.
Okay, that's all I have under old business.
We just have the prison study.
Oh, okay.
So on the old business prison study, we're still working on the parameters for the contract with the individuals on the prison study. We hope to have something available for consideration at our next meeting.
Okay, that's everything under old business. Under new business, first thing I have, just a reminder, the cost management meeting is scheduled for October 28th at 1:30 p.m. The individuals from cost management will be on conference call. We can meet here in the conference room to do that, or I can also send out the conference call number. I'll send out an email reminder on Monday, and I should also have the agenda from cost management at that time, so I'll send all that information out to everybody. If you care to join in, you can either join in by conference call or come over here to the conference room.
Okay?
Okay, next thing I have is body scanners. I was asked by the board last month to get some information on body scanners. I reached out to two companies. One was Tech 84 and the other was Nuke Tech. Have ended up doing a spreadsheet that the controller had requested, and I had that, gave that to everybody when they came into the meeting today. So it kind of breaks down the cost, the dimensions, warranty, features, maintenance, etc. And I didn't know if this is something that the board wanted to act on now, or just so they have the information and wait for the prison study, or what. But
So I got a question. So I know that when we discussed this the first time or several times, there was a difference between one unit being portable and the other units being stationary.
Yes.
Is that still correct?
yes, Tech 84 has what they call their Intercept model. That is the mobile model. I actually also had the Nuke Tech people in and talked to them about it. Both of their models are stationary. I kind of would My recommendation would be, granted the Tech 84 model is mobile, but we're looking at a savings of like $31,000 to the new Tech, as well as, $2,500 per year in annual maintenance, as well as the fact that new Tech offers a 5-year parts, labor, travel, and software warranty with upgrades at no cost for the first 5 years, and you don't have to pay the maintenance cost for those first 5 years either, where, the Tech 84 would be right away. So giving up the mobility, we do have a room that the new Tech representative looked at and is definitely within the parameters that they would need for any of their models. And we have the money in the commissary fund to do it as well, so.
Okay, so how about the flow of traffic to that room? Is that directly adjacent to the entry area so that you can funnel people through the magnetometer and then through the body scanner? Or is this going to be separate just for inmate entry?
It would just be for
Inmate entry?
Yeah.
Okay, so would it be in the Sallyport area?
No, there's actually a room right off of the booking officer station that we currently utilize for county issued clothing.
Okay,
And the machine would be able to fit in there, and we'd still be able to use probably 2/3 of the room for the county issued clothing yet, so it wouldn't really hamper us much at all as far as the storage of that. And it's something where, when an individual is brought in as a new admission, they come through the Sallyport door, make a right, and it's the next door down is where the machine would be.
okay.
And
the only
weekend release would go through there also?
We would just have to bring the weekenders, to our booking area to go through it as well.
That was my next question, yeah.
Yeah.
So how would you do that? Because they come into a separate area,
They
so
come
they
in
would
for
actually be
the-
going into this area that's shared by other inmates though, correct?
The inmates would be in their cells at the time they come, because they still come in and get strip searched over in the booking.
Oh, they do?
area anyway
Okay.
Before they're
Okay.
sent there,
All right.
so. Yeah, they would be in that.
So that would be part of that protocol when they come back in?
Right.
Okay.
Are they both on state contract?
Yes, well, New Tech is CoStar's, Tech 84 is GSA.
Okay, any questions about?
You're not gonna be
proposals?
moving this around to begin with, are you?
No.
And, I have concerns with moving it, damaging it,
Yeah, yeah.
everything else,
Yeah.
and then you're gonna ruin a more expensive piece of equipment.
And, that's why I kind of, in my summary at the bottom, I kind of thought going with the New Tech 2100 DV, which has, dual scanners, at 118,000 compared to the Tech 84 at 149,000, I think is probably a better avenue to go.
Okay. So I know that part of the discussion initially was the recommendations we may be getting from the prison study, but I think from the last several meetings we had, there was a lot of discussion on, we feel there's a need to do this anyway, and we don't really need someone to look at it and tell us what we already know, correct?
I don't think so.
Okay, so is it preferable to the board that we proceed and proceed on the warden's
In my
recommendation?
opinion, and like I said, like Wayne said too, you don't wanna be bumping sensitive equipment around. And I think that, just the cost per year right away is costing a lot of it costs a lot of money. So if somebody would be looking for a motion, I would make a motion to buy that New Tech, was it 2100 TV for $118,000?
Okay,
And I would second that.
okay, so we have a motion and a second, all in favor?
I just got a question on it. I know you're talking about moving it or bouncing it around. Gordon, what about people entering into the prison at all, and employees? Are they going through it too?
Well, employees, we would not be have them going through it, obviously with the union contract, we would probably have to work some things out there if we ever wanted to use it for those individuals. The machine would be in a room by itself, so it's not that it's easily accessible to anybody just walking by that. That we have a door on it, we can close and lock that, so it's not like it would have access
Because I was just concerned on anybody coming in there. I mean,
Yeah.
some of the reasons that we have a problem with drugs in the prison system.
Right.
They
And
are,
if we're checking everybody going in, that's what it's designed for, and it's just so, and you're worried about bumping it, just so we know of a location we could use it, that anybody that's gonna be interacting with any inmates is able to go
Yeah.
through that. I mean, that's what you want it for.
Mhm.
And we need to be able to get through that.
They are very durable machines too. I mean, if you have an unruly individual, you know, there have been staff members at other facilities that, you know, had to control that individual while they were on the machine. And, you know, they are very durable and do hold up to, you know, actions like that.
Well, I think after this vote, the next step is then
To find.
the contract, the union, right? Why wait, right, start those conversations with the union now, Mike, correct?
Yeah, I think, I mean, we definitely need a machine, and we definitely need it for the prisoners that
Yeah.
are coming in, but we need to really resolve it. It's not, and it should not be a reflection on any,
No,
anybody in this room or anything, but, the opportunity does arise, and there's gotta be a way to, something's gotta stop this from coming in, and I don't know where it's coming in from.
Right.
It could be newer part-time guys we have, or other people, I don't know who it is. But I think it may stop that a little bit, or get people thinking.
Right, and again, as attorney, Mike, you'd be able to answer this better. I mean, even if there isn't something that says that it's done on a routine basis, at least that it's allowed on a probable cause basis, where
Yeah.
if there's
Yeah.
probable cause to believe that someone entering the prison may have something concealed, that we'd be able to do that. And that also raises a question about volunteers. So it almost would seem that any volunteer would have to agree to go through the body scanner.
We can change that policy now, can't we,
Correct.
volunteer?
Well, that one we could, yeah, absolutely. And, you know, right now, volunteers are, you know, not allowed to come in anyway, so.
Yeah.
But that's an easy fix. I mean, the big one would actually be having a conversation with the unions.
Okay, regardless of how that goes with the union, there's still a need to do it for inmates. So we had a motion, we had a second, we had some discussion. Is there any further discussion on the matter? Okay, we'll now move to a vote. All in favor of the purchase on Rocky's motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, motion carries.
All right, while we're spending money, the next thing I have is the DNA proposal from Carbon Monroe Pike Drug and Alcohol. They afford us to have drug and alcohol counselors in the prison on a full-time basis. We've been paying for this as well through the commissary fund. The price has remained the same from the first several years. I think this might be maybe the fifth or sixth year better that we're doing this now. So the price again is still $54,000 per year, also coming out of the commissary fund, and nothing has really changed from the previous agreement.
And Warden, we're satisfied with the services that we're getting,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Any questions or discussions on that? Were we looking for a motion, is that correct?
Yes.
Mr. Solicitor, okay?
Yes.
So we're looking to entertain a motion to adopt the DNA contract.
Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposition? Okay, ayes have it, motion carries.
And the final thing I have under new business is the 2021 prison board dates. Still, I kept them all at the third Wednesday of the month, and with the meetings, starting at 1:30 PM unless otherwise noted for any reason. And do we want to continue in 2021 to hold those meetings here?
I would say yes.
Well, I think when we originally talked about this, it was more related to the virus. But I think since then, it's become obvious that there was more people traveling to the prison than people traveling here. And I think for convenience purposes, this seems to be working better. Is that a general consensus?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I don't mind either way, Tony, but I know when the prison board was first created, one of the reasons they met at the prison is so everyone could see the condition of the
So you can
prison.
see the facility.
And you actually ate
Yeah.
lunch there, because they wanted to see what kind of food the inmates are getting, okay?
Right.
Again, I don't have a preference either way, it's much more convenient for me to walk from the courthouse here, but that was one of the reasons to do it at the prison, I know that.
You're
Well-
saying that we should have lunch there.
I haven't eaten lunch there for years, Danny.
Bring the lunch there.
So just to clear things up, we do not have lunch at the prison on the prison board, and we haven't had it at least since I'm here.
I mean, is it something to have meetings like, like 9 of them here and 3 up there that you
Well,
can see, or is that a
Maybe
problem?
eventually,
I
but
was-
I think with
I mean,
the
not now,
circumstances right
but-
now for this year,
Right.
just keep the same.
I was just going to suggest that because of the pandemic and because it's convenient, we continue to do this. I don't think it would be a bad idea if at least we schedule once a year up at the prison,
Yeah.
just to, and combine that with a tour of the facility.
Yeah, just do like
Because
a
we've been going
workshop.
through there, but we haven't really been touring the facility, so maybe something to consider once the pandemic clears up is to at least have one meeting scheduled at the prison with a tour.
We have to advertise these,
Yeah.
so.
Correct.
But Danny, if there, this is a question, if there's a change in a location when we're having it, are we required to re-advertise or
Yeah.
can we
Yeah.
close the door
Yes.
Yeah, we have to give 24-hour notice and post it.
of a change in location?
Right.
I knew of time, but I didn't realize on location.
Right.
All right.
Is that something we need to formally adopt?
Well, I think probably next month you're gonna have an agenda item that says, here's the prison board meetings for
Okay.
2021, and then
Okay.
we'll just have it on as an agenda item
Okay.
next month.
All right. And then I think there was one other item that we had, there was a request from the lake.
Yes, I had that listed for under correspondence, I didn't know.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
All right, under correspondence, I have a memo from the Mock Chunk Lake Park, from Dave Horvath, the park director, dated October 9th, 2020. It was a request for work release. And it states, please accept this request for use of the work release program to assist the Parks Department annually with minor maintenance duties in preparation of the park for the season. Examples of such work would include the cleaning of fire rings at tent camping sites and cabin rental sites, cleaning of hibachis at pavilions and in the picnic area, painting of the main gate and exit gate, the painting of restroom buildings, trail maintenance, and litter removal. The primary time frame for this work would be from late March to mid-May, weather depending. However, additional requests may be needed based on the maintenance needs of the park and whether sufficient park staffing would be available to oversee the work. Thank you for your consideration. That was addressed to the Carbon County Prison Board.
Okay, so the first question I had is, there wasn't a lot of detail about overseeing the work. I know they say they're gonna oversee the work, but there's no detail on what that is going to entail. Is it going to be one ranger? Is it gonna be an employee? Like, how is that going to, so I think I would need to know that.
Previously, we used to send a corrections officer
Right.
along, but there was an issue in that correction officer was terminated for allowing the inmate to do something he shouldn't have.
Right.
I don't know, it depends on the person, I guess, a lot of times, who you're allowing to do it. If it's work release persons, I don't have a problem, but I'm not sure what the other people were that were going down that we allowed when we sent the corrections officers. Because we did it for municipalities too,
Right.
since we have so many new members on the board. We used to charge, I think, only $100 a day with the corrections officers for 4 people, was it? 1 or 2
Yes,
people, whatever,
yeah.
4 people, up to 4 people.
Correct.
And a lot of some of the municipalities did take advantage of it.
Mhm.
And it was a good program. Unfortunately, when you get a bad inmate or a corrections officer, in that case, that allows them to do things they weren't supposed to be doing, you know? And I don't know how it's gonna work with supervisors. I mean, we have time with park maintenance supervising 1 or 2. I wouldn't want them to have 4 or 5 because that's when things get out of control, but maybe 1 or 2. But I think we need to
Right, so-
think about it more. We have time for the park, but
Right, so again, we have time to let it happen, so I think, at least from my perspective, and I'll hear anybody else from the floor, is I think we need to know the number of inmates that are requested, the ratio of supervisors to inmates, and also transportation. I don't think that's addressed in here.
No.
Is there anything else that anybody thinks we need before we would consider the request? Okay, so if you would kindly reach out to the park ranger and tell him to provide us with these details, and then we'll discuss it at our next meeting. Okay, anything more on correspondence?
That is it.
Okay, next thing is the solicitor's report.
Nothing additional.
Nothing? Is there any further business before the prison board today? Okay, with that, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.
Tim, if you already don't know, and I know she's watching, Amy Miller is gonna want some information on that new Tech 2100.
Okay, I mean, right, I'm sure,